Hello everyone, my name is Bart and I'm part of the Skilled Summers team. I'm joined today with Harry, who was a co-counsellor with me at Frenchwoods. Do you want to say hello, Harry?
Hello.
There you go. And we're joined today with Kat, who is the director of Skilled Summers. So we're going to go through a few questions that might be the common sort of questions, queries that people might have when applying through Skilled Summers to work in a summer camp. So Harry, do you want to kick things off?
Yeah, so could you tell us who exactly are Skilled Summers and what is a J1 cultural exchange?
Yes, of course. So the J1 Cultural Exchange Programme has been around for a long while now. It's really popular across the UK and around the world. And we look at recruiting skilled individuals to work at camp as camp counsellors, so either as a particular activity instructor or as what we call like a general camp counsellor, so just getting involved with the kids and keeping them busy. In terms of Skilled Summers, we are a relatively new company. We were founded in 2020 in the middle of the COVID pandemic, which is always fun, but prior to that I've worked for other summer camp organisations, so I do have kind of like a background into the industry and into camps. I was very fortunate enough to go to camp myself through a different company back in 2011 now. And I was a horse riding instructor at my camp there. I had an amazing experience. I knew nothing about camp before I went. Like, there was no kind of Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. There was nothing. It was really difficult to do any research. And I just kind of trusted the company that I went with, and I went with their recommendation and their first choice. And I got placed into this camp to teach horse riding. And like I said, I had a great time. I met some wonderful friends that I'm still in touch with now. But in terms of like what I was doing on a day-to-day, the quality of the facilities wasn't the best, but I had nothing to compare it to. So I was like, okay, well, this is just how camp is. I was a fairly skilled horse rider, and the kids that I was working with were, beginners, like beyond beginners, like they'd never really kind of sat on a horse before. So I spent like 12 weeks basically just teaching the very basics, which was fine, but, a little bit repetitive. It wasn't challenging me as an instructor. And then moving forward, I changed career after camp. I ended up working with this company and then, developing quite a long career with them. But I had the opportunity then to travel around all the different camps in America and see the different facilities and the wide range of camps. And it really kind of blew my mind. Like, there was more than just my experience. Like, there's some incredible camps like all across America that cater for loads of different needs. In terms of, you've got camps that will specialise in special education and children with additional needs. You've got camps that are specialising in like underprivileged, so from children from foster care or from difficult backgrounds, all the way up to like super premium camps. And these camps, which is where Skilled Summers has ended up focusing slightly, they're looking for people, with really niche talents. So that could be, circus, parkour, really high level musicians, sports coaches and athletes. So people with, extensive training backgrounds, high level tennis players, golf players, horse riders. And what I found was, when I started to go around these camps, I saw the facilities of these other camps, especially for horse riding, where you've got camps with Olympic-sized dressage arenas and full sets of show jumps and really good coaches. And I realised that I wasn't properly placed. And there was no kind of way of me knowing that. So I wanted to create Skilled Summers for people who, have got a really good skill and a talent, and they want to get the best out of their summer. So rather than just being like a number and being like, okay, well, you're a tennis coach, this camp needs a tennis coach. There's a difference between, one camp that might have one tennis court that's poorly maintained and they do it, a couple of times a week. If you're wanting a career as a tennis coach, or you're a semi-pro athlete or something like that, and you want to better yourself, you want to work with other tennis coaches, you want to coach good kids, then, you need to be looking at some of the different camps that we can put you in touch with, the ones that do have the good facilities. And that's really what I wanted to establish with Skilled Summers and make it different to our competitors is, we actually personally match you with these camps with the knowledge that we have of being there, like speaking with the camp directors, speaking with staff that have been there before, and knowing the differences between, camp A, B, C, and D, and giving you that opportunity to research it and saying, okay, well, all right, tennis coach, for example, we've got a tennis camp in Maine, we've got a tennis camp in New York, we've got a tennis camp here that caters for underprivileged children. What are you looking for and what's going to be the best fit for you? And kind of put the onus back on you to have that choice rather than just saying, here's your placement, like run with it. So I think that's, what I started off with in mind for Skilled Summers.
Yeah, it does sound like you were kind of just thrown into America essentially in a summer camp that you just was placed in. And with the experience you've had from all these different summer camps, it does sound like more of a tailored experience for people looking to, be placed correctly, like you felt like you weren't essentially. So what kind of person do you look for when they apply?
Yep, that's a good question. So I think the main thing we look for is the reasons why people want to go to camp. It should be that they've got a passion for passing this skill on to children and to others, even the co-counsel as well. You end up doing some coaching, but that needs to be the fundamental reason behind it, is that you're passionate about your skill or your talent and you want to teach that. That should be the first and foremost reason. It's not because, I want to go to America and I'll get paid to do something. Like, this sounds like a good idea. So definitely look for that. And then it goes alongside with the skills. Obviously, we are looking for people that can teach and lead. You don't necessarily have to be qualified. Like, experience is just as valuable if you've spent your life. I mean, like parkour, for example, that's what you do. There's not really a qualification to say you're qualified in it. It's something that you develop over time. But for gymnastics, for example, if you want to be a gymnastics coach, you really should be looking at having some form of coaching qualification for that. Similar with kind of some of the sports, football coaching is a very in-demand sport at camp, and especially coming from the UK, it's on a lot of people's kind of CV. So in that area, we will be looking for someone that's got coaching experience, coaching badges. But for other things like horse riding, I didn't have a coaching qualification. Again, it was just my own experience. I was confident in my own abilities. I was confident to teach. We obviously do look for certain skill sets, and the range of skills is vast, like over 65 different things at the minute. And we've got camps that hire game masters, so people that love like Dungeons and Dragons and fantasy. There's a role for that. There's a role for technology, people that enjoy computing. 3D printing's becoming big at camp. There's camps with huge media suites, so sound production people, video tech, photographers, all of that. You've got sport, kind of goes without saying. Every single sport you can think of will be catered for at camp, as well as the outdoor adventure. So people that love like their hiking, their canoeing, their whitewater rafting, that type of thing, again, is catered for. Arts, there's huge demand for arts and crafts, a huge demand for musicians as well. So there really is something for everybody. But the main thing should be the reasons why you want to go to camp, and that you're very well researched. And I don't mind if you come to us and ask us the questions, but you do need to know what you're getting yourself in for, because if you listen to some of our other podcasts, we really go into what it's like to be a counsellor and the expectations. Like, it's not something that you're likely to have experienced before. And then lastly, like, personality, I think is really, really key. You could have, the best qualifications, and you could be a lifeguard, which, we'd place you into 30, 40 different camps all need lifeguards. But if you've not got that personality that's going to engage with the kids, that's going to be a bit of an issue. So when camps are looking for their staff, they want to look at that person and think, my kids are going to love them because they're like full of energy, they're funny, they're engaging, and they're not just going to stand at the pool with sunglasses on, just kind of looking a bit bored. It's very much about that personality is what we look for.
So you've just touched briefly on some of the different jobs and what makes people a good candidate. But what type of camps do you work with?
So we work with a wide range of camps, but we don't work with all the camps that are over there. Like, we're a much smaller company, and I would prefer to have, a higher number of applicants placed into a small amount of camps, rather than kind of sporadically a couple of people here, a couple of people there. But every camp that I place into, I've set foot on the camp, I've spoken to the camp director, I've placed staff there. So the feedback has always been good, and I'm confident in being able to deliver that recommendation, and for you to feel confident in us as a company to say, yeah, they know what they're talking about. They've been there, I'm going to have a good time. But we range from the premium sporting camps, which are mentioned and kind of quite often. Smaller kind of family style camps. Got a couple of the YMCA camps as well, which are fab for like outdoors, and also some special needs and underprivileged camps. But yeah, our main kind of focus is more on the premium summer camp placements.
So you'd say there is a role at a camp for everyone, whether it be whatever type of camp, whatever role. That's something for everyone.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there is a focus on obviously the skill side of things, because camps work with us because they know they can get good skilled staff to fill their placements. But there's also the general counsellor role, where if you're not teaching something in particular but you're still responsible for those kids. So if you don't hold a particular qualification and you think, oh, I'm not strong enough to teach one thing, that's fine. There's so many general counsellor roles where you're really good with kids, you've got a good fun personality, you can think on your feet, you can make up little games and stuff when things might go wrong or the weather's bad, and you're happy to have a go at different things. So it could be that you're taking your kids to activities, so you could be taking them to horse riding where I'd teach them, you'd support, you'd do whatever, and you might take them for a swim and you get involved with that. You might also have some lifeguard training, so that when you're teaching, when you're in the kids with the pools, you might have lifeguards around. And then obviously you're in with them. And then in the evening, it could be some random evening activity where we had ice cream fights, we had like skit nights, we had all sorts of different things. So you'd be getting involved with putting on those productions as well and organising things. So yeah, if you don't feel like you've got one strong skill that's listed on the website, there's still opportunities to go as a general counsellor and do a little bit of everything. We've got some brilliant camps for that as well.
So although Skilled Summers is based in the UK, what kind of countries have you worked with, or what kind of countries have people applied from?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we do tend to recruit predominantly from the UK, but we do find that we get people that will refer people from different countries, and that ends up being everyone refers their friends, and we do have recruiter partners in different countries. So we're really proud to have a really wide ranging selection of different countries that we've sent people from. But as examples, we've had I think like 10 people coming from Ghana this year through a recruiting partner we have there. They've been incredible. We've got 2 aerial artists that have come in, circus aerial artists from India, which have been again incredible. The camps have loved them because they brought a different style of art to the camp. We've had some amazing engineering students coming from Pakistan that have done like woodworking programs. I think this year we've had 3 people that are students in Hungary that have come from Syria. So we're really pushing the cultural exchange, so that these kids at camp, they've never met somebody from Ghana, and that really gives the opportunity for them to talk about their culture and share that. Yeah,
you never know who you're going to meet.
It's what the program is about, and we have the UK is the dominant sending country every single year. Like the UK is number 1, and yeah, so you're quite likely working at camp with international staff to have a very high percentage of people come from the UK and the Western countries. So Europe, some European countries. Australia is another one that Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. So it's good to have that bit more of a diversity from different countries that wouldn't ordinarily be kind of typical summer camp.
So you've said a lot about people that you've put through to camps, all types of different jobs, different types of camps from different places around the world. The one thing everyone does the same is they go through the same process. So could you go a bit more in depth on the process from placement to the embassy?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of the process, we do try to be, really quick and very personal. So initially we'd ask you to fill in a very short application, like screening form, and then you just literally tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, what your background is, and what skill you're looking to do. At that point, you'll have a screening call with one of the team, and that's just to, make sure that you understand what the program is, what the salary is, what the fees are, whether or not it's the right fit for you, whether or not the dates are a thing as well. People need to be available for very like very set dates. So it's usually from the second week of June through to the second week of August, and there's not too much flexibility in that. So as long as we've kind of ticked all the boxes, you're happy to go ahead, we'd move on for you to fill in the full application, which should take you about an hour. You just fill in, tell us about your skills, a bit more in detail and your experience with children. And then as soon as that's done, we'd aim to have you interviewed within the week. And I do the vast majority of the interviews, because obviously I'm the one that places you into the camps alongside Bart also maybe helping out with the interview side of things. But yeah, the interview, it's not like a corporate structured interview. It's just a chance to get to know you as a person. And I'm really proud to say, I'm sure I can't continue with it forever, but at the minute, I know everybody that's on my program. I know what camps they're going to. I know what skills they've got. I've got them all on WhatsApp on my phone. When their name pops up, I know who they are. And that's the level of like customer service I want to provide to like everyone that comes in. Like, you're not a number. Like, you are, we know who you are. We know what you're doing. And that's something really strong for me that I want to continue through the brand as we go through. But yeah, you'll have that interview. We'll have a chat then at the end of that interview. I can give you any feedback on how to improve the application if we feel that you need to. And then off the base of that, I can say, okay, well, I think you'd be a good fit for, 1, 2, 3 different camps. Do you want to go away and do some research and come back to me and tell me, which one you'd like to speak to? Obviously, sometimes camps might not have that vacancy. So it could be a case of, oh, right, I don't know, let's say you're a go-karter, for example. I've got 4 camps that have go-karting tracks, and I might not know immediately if they've got that vacancy. So it'd be a case of me going back, finding out which ones are which, and then matching you that way. And then you would have a second interview with the camp, and providing all that goes well, they generally would offer you the position on the spot or within the next day or 2. And then, yeah, you can choose to take that. If you feel that you wanted another option in terms of another camp, we can also facilitate that as well. So it's very much about making sure that you're happy with that placement and not just saying, there it is, off you go. And then, yeah, once that's done, we will get you into the embassy. It will depend on the time of year that you're applying. So if you're applying really early, you might have a bit of a wait. So we could place you in September, and you probably go to the embassy around January, February time. So you'll go to the US embassy in the country that you're applying from, or if you're traveling, it'll be the nearest US embassy. And yeah, you'll go there. It's a very quick interview process most of the time. They're just checking your documents, checking everything's fine. You'll have the visa printed into your passport. And then, yeah, away you go. We take you through the rest of the steps. We give you an orientation. We give you everything that you need to know. And yeah, just a bit of a countdown then to camp.
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely resonate with the personal side of things. Like, when I applied, I wasn't expecting you to pop up on WhatsApp and be like, "Hi, I'm Kat. Like, are you free for a talk?" And that's a process that's standardized through. Well, in Skilled Summers, you go through that process, the interviewing process. Do you have any tips for preparation for an interview with yourself or with camp directors?
Yeah. So for me, like I said, I would like to interview people that are properly prepared and understand. So like one of the first questions is like, tell me what you already know about camp. So, there's plenty of, information available on YouTube. There's examples of the camps that we work with on our website. So I do expect you to be able to tell me, what it is you're getting yourself into really, for sure. And then, just tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, let me find out what you're about, really. But yeah, it's definitely nothing to be worried about. It's all about finding out where you're best fitted, really. We do a few like problem solving scenarios as well. So I'll give you some examples of things like what would happen if there was a child that was homesick, or you woke up in your bunk and the kid was missing. Like those type of things, just to find out a little bit more about how you deal with those situations. And then the interviews for the camps. I think you're already off to a really good start because, you've been recommended, they've looked at your application, they've got a vacancy. So again, you should be really opening with the fact that you've researched this camp, and should be your first choice if you're speaking to them. So, you need to be really passionate about the fact that, you've read about this camp, you've looked at it online, you've spoken to people that have been there, you'd feel like it'd be a good fit for you. You need to talk a little bit about what you're going to bring to the table and why your application is better than somebody, hypothetically somebody else's, what makes you different. but also like don't be afraid of, you know, talking about what you're going to gain from the camp as well, like, you know, how it's going to benefit you as a person and your personal development, I think is really important. And don't be afraid to ask questions. In fact, you should have some questions for camp. It's a two-way process. Like if you've got a strong application, you're in demand, and there's 3 or 4 different camps that would love to offer you a position. So you want to make sure that you're kind of asking them relevant questions as well to make sure that it's the right fit for you.
Perfect.
Oh, and be on time.
Yeah.
Be very aware of the time differences, obviously. Yeah. There's nothing worse than a camp director waiting and you're 5, 6, 7 minutes late because, you know, your Zoom's not connected properly, or you need to update your app and then you turn it on and there's noise in the background. Like, be punctual, be prepared, and be professional on those interviews as well. I'm not going to lie, I had one person open their camera and they were laid down in bed. And she was like, do I need to have my camera on? I was like, yes, you do. And she was in bed. And I was like, right, red flag number 1. Anyway, we didn't go any further with that one. But yeah.
Take notes, people.
Yeah.
But no, perfect. It looks like we've zoomed through a few of the most common questions. Is there any way, what's the best way to get in touch with you if anybody else had any questions regarding the application? Yeah, sure. We're active on pretty much all the social media platforms. There's a WhatsApp number on the website that will take you straight through to myself or Georgia. Obviously, once you're past the stage of actually applying, I'll be in touch with you directly as well. So will Bart. So this day and age, WhatsApp seems to be the dream. Like it's super quick, super convenient. But we've got the old school methods. We've got a landline phone as well that you can ring, email, you know, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, we're there. So all of that could be found on the website? Yep, everything's there as well. So yeah, if you are thinking about applying, the earlier the better. Applications are open now, even though it's, you know, summer's just started, they are open for next year. And the more positions that are vacant, the earlier it is. If you're leaving it till February, March to apply, there's going to be less availability in those camps. So if it is something you want to do, then obviously get your applications in. But yeah, we really hope that we can see some of you applying and getting you those really great placements at camp. Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you very much for that, Kat. I think you've summarised everything that need to be said. So thank you. No worries. Thank you.
Cheers.